And guess what? We are live for week 3. Take it away with the intro.
I'm so excited. Thank you guys so much for being here. Rebecca Norrington is a happiness specialist and one of the most amazing women I've ever worked with in my business as an author, editor, and ghostwriter. Yes, I mean it. It's just amazing. And I'm so happy to be here with her again tonight. So, Rebecca, can I just dive in with, I don't know if this is a simple question, but with a question.
Please, let's dive in. And again, thank you again. This is all your idea. This is all Nikki's idea. But thank you for being here. And what I do love doing is just sharing with what I learned, sharing with what I know. And I just love sharing. So yes, shoot.
Absolutely. So my first question is there such a thing as an overreaction? And we touched on this, I think, the first time we met, but is there such a thing as an overreaction, or are there just reactions?
Well, that's a good question. Yes, the overreaction, one of the clues is that just means that you're programmed. So you're either reacting to life or you're responding to life, one or the other. And the reacting is the is the in the moment. It's not even controllable. I say the ego takes over, possesses the body, and that's what we're going to talk about today, the ego and its makeup and what it needs and how it's fed and how it's fueled and the reaction. The ego needs you to react like that because that reaction is coming from the ego's identity. Because presence isn't going to react like that.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So is your ego something that you're born with, or is it cultivated?
Okay, great question. This is my perspective. And again, I don't pretend to know everything, even though I think I do on this topic. The ego is developed. We are not born with an ego. In fact, when we're born, and anybody can Google this scientifically, the baby is born thinking that all of it is the baby. The baby doesn't see separation. Oh, you're a person, you're my mother, you're this. The baby thinks that everything from the wall to the people around it, that everything that it sees or can see or view is it. It thinks that I'm all of this. And so eventually, and I don't know specifically when or how, but eventually the baby develops an ego. The baby develops, oh, I'm separate from all of this. I'm separate from this lady that's breastfeeding me, or I'm separate from this gentleman that what do fathers do? Well, that's too early for a baby, but I was going to say, run. But I'm separate from this person. And so when the ego starts to develop, but we're not born with it. We're born living in the present moment and just observing without judgment. And eventually it does grow. And then with the programming, you think that you are your ego. You identify with your ego. Rebecca Norrington. Oh, I'm Rebecca Norrington. In fact, here we go. Let's just get into it.
Yeah.
This whole, what is it? It was the word of the day on the show earlier. It's this be myself. Be yourself. But guess what? Who are you?
Yeah.
Who is your real self? Be myself. Is that even, has anyone even dissected what be myself is? Now, if I want to be myself, I can identify with what Rebecca Norrington likes and what Rebecca Norrington prefers, but I'm not Rebecca Norrington. So it really, it is a practicing, knowing, believing that you are separate than the ego. And once you really begin to know that, believe that, and are aware of that, you know the ego or your higher self or yourself. Which one is in charge? Which one is driving? Which one is reacting?
Right. So is it fair to say that when the ego is in charge of our way of thinking, when it's taken control, like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, is it fair to say that ego essentially is separation, or that it creates separation?
Yes. It is separation from self. It is separation from God. Yes. It's separation.
Okay, cool. That makes sense. And so, leading into your second book, I'm so intrigued about the relationship book that you have coming up. Obviously, this book is the perfect, let me hold it up to my body so the green screen doesn't get it. But this is obviously the perfect precursor for your second book on relationships. And when you said be yourself, that obviously that's not the advice that you give, but that's the advice that people oftentimes, when they are looking for romantic relationships, they're looking to find that partner and that person that they can spend, their life with, or that's what their goal is, whatever the situation is. But you hear a lot of people say, oh, just be yourself. And again, it goes back to that point that no one really has dissected what that concept really means. So leading into in your second book, do you talk about this concept of being yourself in relationships?
Well, my dear Nikki Hernandez, I have to say that number one, this is my second book.
Yes, you're right.
Number two, the second book, the third book is going to be the one with relationships. The second book is a book of questions. So we're going to have to wait a little bit more for the relationship book. But to answer your question, be yourself. Listen, 68 years old, this is what, if you're asking for my advice as to what, when you meet someone, how to discern if they're compatible or not. And that is the key.
Right.
I don't care about we both like to golf. We both like bowling. We both like going out to shows. We both like jazz. Has nothing to do with whether you're compatible or not. So it's really compatible energy. And what I do, did I talk about the questions that you can ask somebody that if you just first met them, how you can figure out who they are right away?
Not on this podcast, no.
Oh, really?
No. Can I get some clarification on the book? It says reality, spirituality, series 1 of 5. So that was the reason why I said like first book, because I thought it was like the first book in the series.
Yes, and that's me being so confusing. It is the first book in this series.
Okay.
In this series, I never had a series before. The first book was just a first book.
Just standalone, yeah.
Yeah, this is a series of books.
Okay. And does that include the relationship book?
Yes, that's going to be number 3. Number 3 in this series.
Perfect. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that clarification. Go ahead.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I love sharing this. If you really, really want to know who the other person is, ask them what makes you angry. We didn't talk about this.
Not on this podcast, no.
Ask them what makes you angry. The what makes you angry, and see what they say.
Right.
And the other thing, this is another question that I love asking. Usually everybody's had a relationship. So I say, well, what would your past relationship partners say about you? In other words, what would they complain about you? What would your partners, your relationships, what would they complain about? What were their top 3 complaints about you? Now that gives you an idea whether or not the person is going to be honest, because usually when you meet someone, the other person, the one that they broke up with, they were just the scum of the earth. It was always, usually it's never, I contributed to the demise of this relationship. Usually it's always the other person. Yes.
Yeah.
And so asking them, what would the other person say about you? And then you find out if they are able to have enough awareness about and be open and to share that. A lot of people don't even, they didn't have any complaints. I get this all the time. Well, I can't think of any complaints. Really, I do. Well, let's see if it was because I didn't talk to them enough. See, we're still not giving a complaint about you. We're talking about them. So those are, I love those questions.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so the what makes you angry question, what was so significant about that one?
For me, I I can tell who a person is by asking that question. What annoys them, what makes them angry, what irritates them. I can for me, that's my formula.
Hmm.
It
That's a
may be something else for someone else.
Yeah, absolutely. About finding the right questions that help you to, yeah, that makes sense. So when it comes to like, I think of my past boyfriends and stuff, never, never, especially now, I never complained about them. If somebody asked me a question like that, like, oh, what would your past boyfriend say or anything like that. And whenever I speak about the past relationships that I have, I always speak very highly of every single person. And I mean it. It's not just me being like, oh, I want to sound like I'm very positive about these people, but really I feel the opposite way. No, I actually feel extremely positive about all of the people who I have dated because they really were wonderful people. And I attribute is this accurate? Do you attract who the like the essence of you is? Like if you're, you know what I'm saying? Like if you're internally, we talk about vibration a lot. If you're internally vibrating like low vibes, low energy, low this, low that, are you also going to attract like in that case?
I would say yes. Water rises to its own level.
Hmm.
I would say yes. And a person. So let's see. I'm not going to be around someone that is complaining or negative or insulting for longer than 5 seconds. But there may be some people that are going to be around that person and stay around that person. And I'm not saying anything's wrong with that, but I'm not compatible with that type of energy.
Yeah, absolutely. And it seems to me that like attracts like. And even in the natural world, you know, you have eagles flying with eagles and hippopotamuses with hippopotamus and, you know, that kind of thing. So it seems to me that in the natural world that like would just, you would gravitate towards one another.
Let's be more clear and more powerful. It doesn't seem like it. It is. Like attracts like. And a lion isn't going to have a date with a monkey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so like does attract like.
Absolutely. And so one of the things, the questions that I had for you, not about relationships in particular, but if you are, let's say you're in, it could be in a relationship, it could be a friendship, it could be anything, but let's say you're in contact with another human being and that person is struggling to, well, I don't want to call it struggling, but they're reacting in a way that you didn't expect them to. Perhaps they're very nervous, they're upset, they're anxious about maybe something that had happened in their life, and they're not as spiritually attuned as you are. How do you not internalize? Like, I find myself having an easier time accepting that person for where they are in life. And I'll share an example with that about that if that's okay here in a minute.
Please.
But I find it very easy to accept people where they are in life, and I've always been that way. It's been something since I was a little child that has always, you know, just been a part of me. But I have a hard time not internalizing the state of the other person. So if I'm around them for, even if it's just for a minute, it doesn't have to be an hour or a day. Even if I'm just there for a minute, it feels like I have absorbed and internalized all of their feelings for myself, and I start to feel almost the same way as they feel, very anxious, very nervous, and I got to go home and take a nap. Like it feels like I have to detox.
What a great question. And I want to say that I don't answer hypothetical questions, but that question was direct. But we're talking about you, so great question. Okay, this is what I say about that. Now, I say that there's two types of people. There may be more than that, but in this particular one, and you're more of an empath, you feel energy. So I call that you're either spongy or you're Teflon.
Mm,
Teflon, it slides right off. I hear
yeah,
it. I can hear the most horrific story. Well, now I'm not saying that I don't feel it, but it doesn't stay with me. But
yeah,
spongy people, and I mean that lovingly, spongy people do absorb that. But you know what, Nikki? Your awareness is all that you need. So now when you say you absorb it, you absorb it, you absorb it, but then there's going to be a time when you don't absorb it because quite frankly, the ego is in there, some kind of mix in there, because the job of the ego is to make me feel uncomfortable, sad, bad, nervous, anxious,
Oh,
discontented. Oh yeah, that's its job.
wow. So
Its
the ego's
job
playing
it,
it here.
its
Okay.
job is to make me feel bad for as long as possible.
Oof. Okay, that's an epiphany.
Yeah, yeah. So that's not all you. See, when in fact when I say the battle is with the identity. The battle is with the ego. The battle, and let me see, where are my notes here? Because I wrote, oh, here we go. Yay, I have them right in front of me. So you're either identifying in any moment with your higher consciousness or your lower consciousness, awareness or lack of awareness. You're either awake or you're asleep. You're either programmed or you're not. Now, this thing that you're talking about, feeling what they're feeling, I'm going to say that for you, the ego knows exactly what to do to you to make you feel a certain way, to make you spin like that. And it's for me too. It's custom. It's
Yeah,
custom built for each individual. And
yeah,
so I would say this is my suggestion to practice. Whenever first of all, people that affect you like that, how long are you giving them in your presence? How are you giving them 15 minutes, an hour, a half hour? How long are you giving people like that?
not much time at all. It's
Well,
it's
what's
like if I am in their presence even just for a moment and they say something could be hyper negative, like they may cuss or they may not just cussing like that because that's just part of their vernacular, but cussing maybe at someone, or perhaps they are very upset about a situation that they have, and they have nervous energy from a previous situation that caused them to be the way they are in the current moment. And then
Mhm.
I just kind of happen to be a bystander, or I walk in on a situation like that, and I'm like, oh God, I can feel the energy in this room that just doesn't feel right. And then I'll leave, but I still feel like those feelings linger with me for quite some time.
Okay, so is a gnat? I talked about this before. Is a gnat bothered by an elephant? No, a gnat is not bothered by an elephant.
Right,
And what happens when you walk into a dark room and you turn on the light?
right.
The darkness leaves. So your job, not your job, but your job, and you don't even, it's not anything you have to work at, but you have the intention to growing to a place where I don't care where I walk. I don't care what kind of energy it is. And I'm not saying to sit here, hey, toss some negative energy at me. Let's go. No, I'm here to say that it's not going to, the more aware you are, the less it's going to affect you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That was very helpful about the ego and just being aware of how that's coming into play for my own self to bring me to a lower state, to connect me with the lower consciousness.
And it's latching on to you because it knows that bothers you.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
scratch that, bothers your identity.
That's big facts. Woof, man. What a deep concept. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that just for the people who are listening? Because I know that I intuitively get what you're saying there, but when you say it bothers you because it bothers your identity, can you elaborate on that for people who may not understand what you're saying?
Okay, so there's two, and there are two entities. I say two. You have your human programmed ego, lower consciousness that says, okay, let's say, I'm trying to use myself as an example.
Mm-hmm.
There's certain carrots that the ego knows that Rebecca Norrington is going to jump at. Oh, she's going to bite at that carrot. That, and it's different for everybody. When you are aware of being consciously aware of purposely separating yourself from what separating yourself, when you are consciously aware and you are able to witness, in fact, Nikki, this one, witness yourself struggling and, oh, this energy gets me and I need to take a nap. You witness that as opposed to you're in it.
Right.
You sit back and you watch. Oh, look at Nikki's just she's all consumed with this negative energy that this other person just walked by and stuck her with. And this is a scientific experiment. It's called the double slit experiment. I don't know if I think I may have put it in the book. Double slit experiment, where a person acts differently. Even atoms, even cells act differently. It's been proven when it's being observed.
Yes, 100%.
Yes. So observe that while you're going through that.
Oof.
And let it go. Don't try to change it. Don't try to resist. Just, oh, I'm watching you. I don't care how long it takes. I don't care how you feel. I'm watching you, and watch. Well, I'm just getting chills, and watch things shift.
That's beautiful. That's really beautiful and profound and just so deep. So, one of the questions that I had, just going back to the book, this book is so powerful. My mom actually bought it. She bought it. I went to her house the other day and was hanging out, and she goes, "Hey, I bought that book you were advertising on social media." And I was like, "What? No way!" So that was
Mom.
Yes. So I'm really excited for her to read the book and everything. It's going to be great. So really excited. And it was a pleasant surprise. So one question that I have particularly about the book and a comment you had made on a previous, and if I misquote you, forgive me, but I remember in a previous session, we were talking about that workshop that you went to, that free workshop on like business and entrepreneurship and things like that. And you had asked the speaker a profound question about, it was something like, what do you do if what you're selling isn't something that, what was it again? I don't want to misquote you.
I said, how do you monetize something that nobody values until it's too late? And in fact, there was a post today on Instagram and the person is on our OWL app.
Oh.
A long person, a long post about how happiness is weird, and happiness is wrapping it up worthless, and what kind of what kind of life is that, searching for happiness? I get it, but it's coming from a program. Because the happiness has been getting bad rap. When I say happiness, let me be very clear, especially for people that didn't see episode 1 or 2. Happiness is an energy. Happiness is a personal vibration, an energy of contentment. Regardless.
Those videos, by the way, if you're watching this live, go watch 1 and 2.
Oh, yes. Watch 1 and 2. Yeah, it is a personal energy of contentment. And what that means is that life is going to do this, period. There's going to be something going on all the time. And the ego has these are unwanted moments. This is an unwanted experience, unwanted. But when you practice, when I say happiness is a practice skill, when you practice, you live in a state of neutrality, which means it doesn't matter what happens. You're here, you're vibrating this. You're not vibrating here, you're vibrating this. So when things happen, you respond, not react. You respond to life. You respond to life with a conscious response, a conscious decision. But getting back to the happiness is weird. Some people are just not going to get it. Some people are triggered by it. Some people are not interested, and I understand, because I used to think that everybody wanted to be happy, but that's just not true. And again, it's not I'm happy. It is a practice of vibrating an energy of contentment all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. So this book really does go into that concept in a deep way. And I remember the first time we were talking about the book, you said, "Hey, I just want to let you know that when you read this, it is going to trigger you." And so I was like, wow. But as soon as I went into the book, I'm not triggered by the truth. It's not the truth that triggers me. It may cause a reaction like, "Oh, I never thought of it. Oh, okay. Let me process that." That's about the extent of what something will quote unquote trigger me if it's truthful. And so the book, I can see how it would trigger other individuals though. And I'll share an example, if that's okay, of of an interaction that I had recently with an individual on Clubhouse. Very nice person. He's very business savvy, somebody who, would likely put on their own workshop that one day, that we may attend, very successful in their own right. And he was in a space and he said,
now hold on a second. What does that mean? You see, successful in their own, what does that mean, successful? How do we know they're successful? How do we tell that they're successful? What does success mean? They have a lot of money, they're doing a lot of things. What is successful?
Yeah.
Let's stop right there. Let's go.
Yeah. For him, and I can't speak for him, but because
Okay.
it's a business room, most people are defining success by currency.
Okay. So let's be clear about that, because the world defines success. The program world defines success by currency and title. Yeah. So let's just very clear, because you say successful, I'm already asleep. Success is,
Yeah.
has nothing to do. Okay. Keep going.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And it's bringing that comment that you just made is bringing me back to the book so much, because you specifically go into those programs that the program world does teach people about success and about happiness. And you call out celebrities and all kinds of stuff. Like you pull no punches on this. So,
but they're dead except for one, but most of them are, well, no, there's a couple of them that aren't dead.
Yeah, there's a couple that are alive.
They ain't dead yet. They ain't dead yet.
No, these weren't like celebrities of the 1920s. No, this is like modern day. But anyway, so this individual, successful in terms of currency and money and, all that kind of stuff. And he was talking, he sounded a little bit like Eeyore to me, low register in the voice. Oh, I just wish that, it was like that. And so I went into the space and I said, well, what are you all glum about? And he said, he goes, well, I just have so much business knowledge and I could help so many people with their businesses. I could solve all their problems because it's so easy and this and that and the other. And I said to him, maybe it's not their time to receive what you have to offer. And then listen, I don't know if this is going to trigger you or not. It kind of triggered me. I doubt it's going to trigger you, but it kind of triggered me. He said, in response to what I had said, he goes, I am a co-creator with God. And I said, yeah, I knew it was going to evoke a reaction because I had the exact same reaction. And so anyway, that was how the story went. But going back to that powerful metaphor you used about the avocado and people being like avocados and being ripe and ready for certain things. The question that I have is, was his, not to pass judgment or anything like that, but do you think that those type of responses and those types of feelings are programs as well?
He said, what did he say again?
He said, I just wish I could help so many more people, but they just don't want to invest in themselves and, those kinds of things. And I'm not judging him or anything like that. Cause like I said, he probably has achieved a certain amount of financial success in his own life. And so maybe he is motivated to help people, but that glum, Eeyore-ish type of vibe just wasn't it. And I was like, well, I'm thinking in my mind, maybe the program was the one thinking for me, but I was thinking at the time, I don't know how you would attract anybody speaking like this.
Well, okay. So number one, let him speak any way he wants, and what he attracts because he's on his own journey, and he's going to attract. His journey is already
fulfilling itself.
Exactly. Thank you. It's already unfolding. But back up to co-creating with God. This whole thing about manifesting, I get it. People want to believe that they're manifesting. I manifested a new house. I manifested a relationship. I manifested a new car. I manifest all of this. I manifested money. I manifested. Okay. Co-creating. Well, this is my perspective. I don't
have to go deep here. This is where we need the seatbelt.
I do not believe that humans can in fact, prove to me that a human can manifest anything in this dimension. Grow manifest yourself 3 inches taller. Manifest a new star. Manifest a new planet. Manifest world peace. Manifest a cure for COVID and cancer. Manifest that. If you are really co-creating, well, then why don't you co-create world peace? What's up? So the program is, and the ego says, yes, I'm co-creating. But the truth is, we are consciousness having a human experience. God is experiencing this life through me, and whatever is on the road, whatever is on the path, I will experience. But co-creating, making something happen, making something not happen, that's all from the ego. I'm not making happen. I'm not making anything happen.
Wow. So what does the word manifest mean to you?
Creating something out of nothing.
So when you hear someone say that they manifested something, you're saying that they're saying they created something from nothing.
Yes.
That they are essentially gods of the universe.
Well, they think that they think that they created something. They think that they manifested something. And I'm here to say that it's just part of their destiny. They're not, they didn't manifest it. It's just part of their destiny.
That is interesting. So with destiny, this is probably a little tougher question, but with this concept of destiny, and it's something that I go back and forth as well on this topic. I think of the Bible. I think of Judas Iscariot, particularly how he fulfilled his destiny to betray Jesus.
Yes, and in fact, not to be, but in the Bible it says Jesus said to him, "You have filled. You have done your purpose. You fulfilled your destiny. This is what you were born for."
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, that just gave me my arms, like got all the hairs kind of stand up on my arms a little bit because of that. So
let's ask this question. So Jesus is in the Garden of Gethsemane. Poor guy. In the next few hours, he's gonna get killed, crucified, tortured, and struggling. And I don't want to die. I don't want to die. No, don't. Okay, finally, take me. Did Jesus have a choice?
It's a good question. He fulfilled his destiny. I can say that.
Fulfilled his destiny, and I'm going to say no choice. That was his purpose. That was the reason he was here. Forget all the other stuff, but yeah, and all of us, Kobe Bryant, his destiny was to die in a helicopter crash. Destiny. So this thing about, well, we have choices. I have a choice whether or not to enjoy the ride or not to enjoy the ride. And to know that this is an illusion. Soon I will wake up and all this has been a dream.
It's all behind you. Yeah. That's a really interesting point. And, speaking of the Bible, not to go into, all this Bible stuff, but with Judas Iscariot, and then I think of Jesus, of course, fulfilling his destiny. And then I also think of Peter, because on the night that Jesus died, Jesus told Peter that he would deny him 3 times before the rooster crowed. And he did. And he did. And so, and then it talked about how Peter, he just cried and sobbed, because of what he had done. He betrayed, he betrayed his guru, essentially his leader. And, I'm like, wow, so is this really all destiny? And if it is destiny, then are we predestined? Is predestination a thing? Like where is the line with all of this? Is that an answer we need to know in this life?
Well, if you ask me, I think it's all predisposed. But in fact, before I reincarnated, before I came back, this is what I believe. Before I came back, I said, yes, I want to experience this. I want to experience this. Everything that I'm experiencing, I wanted to experience. I wanted that. I mean, I'm saying when I was not in my human body. Yeah, I want to experience my mother dying and gifting the house to the handyman. I wanted all of that, all of the stuff, and signed off. And here I am. But I forgot, this awakening. I forgot. Oh, I wanted to experience that. This, what my ego says is unwanted. See, the ego has a battle with God. but God is always going to win. But who am I going to identify with? Not the ego anymore.
Definitely not. Yeah. And that does make sense because again, I don't like the fact that I'm bringing up the Bible so much. Not that it's a bad thing at all. I just don't want to, offend any readers who may not necessarily read the Bible or anything like that. But there's this moment where Jesus gets baptized. And when he gets baptized, his memory of his pre-human existence comes back to him in the Bible, and he realizes who he was. And so God then says, "This is my son, the beloved, who I have approved." And so Jesus has this flood of memories coming back to who he was in his pre-human existence, and that kind of reminded me of what you said, that up until then, he didn't know, he didn't know that, he didn't remember that part. But for you in this life, there was a moment of conscious awareness where you did have a memory or a realization or a cognization of who you were and what you wanted to accomplish or do in this life, or live or experience. Maybe experience is a better word. And so that was kind of a powerful thing that you said, at least for me.
Well, and let's say something about the Bible. The Bible is just another book that to learn lessons. Period. Regardless of the belief, but the lessons are very profound. The lessons on forgiveness. This poor guy is being tortured, nailed to a cross, and all of a sudden, name calling, crown of thorns, stabbed. And what does he say? He says, "Forgive them because they don't know what they're doing." What is interpreting that? Forgive them because they're programmed.
Yep. That's such facts. Such facts. So, okay. So on a different line of thought, other than that was a really profound discussion, and I hope people got a lot of benefit out of that. But earlier in this discussion, I had mentioned to you about, I can't remember exactly what brought it up now for whatever reason. It's probably because I ate too much sugar. I can't remember it, but there was this moment that I had where your teachings really benefited me a lot. They've always benefited me. And I know that they will benefit the people who are watching this live stream. And I know they will benefit the people who read your book and the ones who work with you. It's true. It's so true. You're
over
it. So funny. And it's very true. So in the classroom, there was this moment where the students were working on an assignment that I had given them. And I teach my students in my class, I say, do not work outside of the boundaries of the things that I have taught you, because you do not know what you do not know. And if you are working outside of these boundaries, then you're going to get in the weeds. So, and that's not what we're doing. You're going to learn all these things, but it comes at the right time, in the right place, in the right manner. And that will be different for each of you. But as we progress, you have to stay within these boundaries. And so that helps them a lot, because it helps them to process what they already know. Well, anyway, there was this one student in my class. He was working on the assignment, and he asked a bunch of questions. Well, how do you say this? And how do you say this? And how do you say that? And I said, have I taught you those things? He goes, no. And he shrugs. And I said, you need to think of something else that I already have taught you. And it's there. So it's not like you can't think of it, because it's there. And so he finally did. And the girl who sits next to him said, Ms. Hernandez, you've successfully taught, we'll call him Ben, you've successfully taught Ben something. And she was surprised by that, because other teachers have not approached things maybe in the same way. And that's okay, because it's a different subject. It's a lot of variables there. So anyway, she goes, how did you do that? How did you get through to this kid who most people, he's head in the clouds, that kind of stuff. And I told the girl,
that's why I don't like kids.
Yeah.
I don't like kids.
Literally.
I'm joking. Go ahead.
That's so funny. I told the girl, she goes, how did you get through to him? Like, how did you successfully teach him something? And I said, because I let him be himself. I let him be himself and let him figure out what he needed to figure out and all those kinds of things. And then he learned. So is that similar to what you do when you're on this journey, when you're doing your seminars and you're training people and you're hearing all these stories? And I'm sure you have a ton of people who are probably like me in a sense, that want to tell you their whole life story. And you're trying to teach something. So what is your response when someone comes to you and shares and tries to share with you maybe their whole life story or something that has bothered them for years, do you just let them be themselves and just listen, or how do you approach that situation?
That's a really good question, and I'm going to have to say that with any answer that I give and any answer that you give, Nikki, to anyone, know that it is just for that moment. It
Just
is
for
for
that
that
moment.
moment, and this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. This is what I do every time for 5 more years.
That's right.
So let the moment inspire you. Number one.
That's such facts.
Let
Yes.
the moment inspire you. Number two, I have students. I'm this, the class just started again in Vegas. It's called The Truth About Happiness. Started on Wednesday. It's a 10-week course. This is my 5th semester, and so of course people want to come and talk to me, and what I do is I listen because I'm a good listener. People, it is an art to listen to people, and I mean really listen to them, as opposed to half-ass listening and yeah, okay, when is this going to be
Oh,
over?
really? Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
So I listen, but I also give myself a time. I'm not being held hostage for 15 minutes listening to their 30-year-old past surgeries. I'm not doing that, but I do give them a certain amount of time. And again, I say that every moment is different, because sometimes I may sit and listen for 15 minutes. It just depends. But
That's the
on
moment.
the average, I listen, and then I one thing I know how to do, and I suggest everyone to. It's a little fuzzy too. One thing I know how to do is,
Yeah. Get that camera right. There we go.
yeah, I don't know what happened. Is oh, always have an exit plan. I
Right.
always have an exit plan. I either have to go. I have to go to the bathroom. I have diarrhea. Always have an exit plan, and it's true, because this is a strategy. It's strategy, and well, you're not honest. No, I I'm in charge of how much peace that I feel, how
Mhm.
much contentment that I feel, not the other person. So if I'm sitting there for 15 minutes, I'm not going to walk away. Well, they sat me there for 15 minutes listening to that. No, it's my fault that I was there 15 minutes listening.
Mhm.
So I always have an exit plan, and then but you exit with love.
Facts. So let the moment inspire you. Always have an exit plan and be in charge of how much contentment you feel in the moment.
You're the only one in charge of the contentment. You're the only one in charge of your contentment. I want to jump to a topic that's gonna throw everybody into a head spin. You ready?
Do it. Yeah.
Wants and desires. The saying is, I have everything that I need. If I don't have it, I don't need it.
Mhm.
Have you heard that one? I have everything I
In the
need. If
book.
I
Mhm.
Yes. Well, you know what? I knew
Yep.
I heard it somewhere. I have everything if I don't have it, I don't need it. What about things that I want?
Mhm.
Let's how many how and I had to admit, I have never said, I'm 68, in my life, I have everything that I want. Have you ever said that?
No.
Exactly. I have everything that I want. And that is my new saying, because who is the I that's wanting? Plus,
There you go.
wanting, once you start wanting, you will always be wanting. Always. The ego is discontented. It is always wanting. The present moment isn't enough. So if I gave you everything that you wanted, my dear Nikki, everything, all of your dreams, anything that you wanted, it's yours. From your relationships to your money to where you're living to all of it. It's all yours. You have everything you wanted. Would you have any more wants?
Likely, I would.
What would they be if you had everything that you wanted?
I don't know, but I feel like with as particularly with money, there's so many people that I've heard that are so wealthy and they just can never have enough money, even though they may have billions of
But
dollars.
we're talking about you now. Stay
Oh,
on
sorry.
you. Yeah, we're talking about you. Nice try, slippery slick.
I wasn't trying to be slippery slick.
I know, but it was funny.
So
So,
if you gave me everything that I've ever wanted, would I want anything else?
yeah,
I truthfully don't know. I don't know because I've never had that feeling before. But I feel like knowing my own self and the programs that I have running, I have running kind of in the back of my mind. Um, this is personal. I don't think I've really ever like stated this out loud, but I know that I have this program. I'm working on unprogramming it, I guess is the right
practicing, not working, practicing. You're
practicing.
practicing. You're not
Practicing.
working. Keep going.
Thank you. I am practicing. Almost said working again. I'm practicing whatever I'm practicing. I don't know. I can't put the words out because I've never actually said this out loud. But I have this unconscious. No, it's not unconscious because I'm aware of it. But I have this feeling of like very low self worth. And so even if I had everything that I wanted, there would be some pull in the opposite direction saying, well, you don't deserve this, or and then my ego, I feel like would overcompensate those feelings of low self-worth and say, but oh no, you do deserve this. Actually, you deserve more. And those, and it would just be like this internal conflict. So that's kind of the way I think of it.
What a great insight. Number one, listen, I'm not trying to kiss your rear end, but
No, you would never do that.
hardly any. I haven't met anyone that says I don't know if I would want anything else. If usually the answer is, yeah, I wouldn't want anything else. I have everything. I have all the money I could spend, everything I ever wanted. No, I wouldn't want anything else. But you said, I don't know. I may want something else. So see, I'm just talking about you and how aware and conscious you are. Number two, what did you say? Oh, low self-esteem. Okay, that's another story that the ego is the author of. Low self-esteem, low self-worth, all of this crap that is not true. Know that your thoughts and your stories about who you are not true. Now, the ego wants you to believe. The ego wants you to identify with I have low self-esteem and I don't value myself. And then if I had all these things, I'd find a way to sabotage them and then I'd lose them. Correct? The same again, something to witness. Oh, yeah, you may have low self-esteem, my dear ego, but your thoughts about you have nothing to do with me. Nothing to do with me. And the big whammy is everybody had if you had everything you wanted, usually the program people, Nikki, say, no, I'd be fine. But what if I told you in 2 weeks you would be dead? I want to live. So
Yeah.
another want.
Yep.
This has just happened a couple of weeks ago, Nikki. I never said it in my life either, but that's what I'm saying now. And not only saying it, vibrating it. I'm practicing vibrating. How do I, and this is it, how do I practice vibrating? How do I practice the energy of, I have everything that I want. I have everything. This week, everything that I want. Yeah, that's my new mantra.
You'll have to keep us posted on what that looks like for you and how you're progressing in that endeavor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wish me luck. Wish me luck.
Yeah, I do. I really do wish you luck with that because like the question that I have, I almost feel that that statement, it again, I don't know, but I almost feel that that statement is untrue. And because it's untrue, are we practicing living in a state of delusion?
Okay. So let go of the words now then. Let me let go of the words. I have everything that I wanted. Let me let go of the words and really focus on what I'm saying. I vibrating because I'm either at one moment vibrating a sense of satisfaction or dissatisfaction.
Mhm. Yeah.
Period. So it's the same as saying or proclaiming I'm vibrating a state of satisfaction. Because when I'm doing that, there's nothing else I want. If I'm really satisfied, there's nothing to want.
And also your I feel like identity maybe could be a word in the phrase or something because yeah, you're vibrating contentment, satisfaction, and happiness and all that. And that to me is not a delusion, because when you are practicing happiness, then those are the things that you want to remind yourself of and help shift your perspective from what it was to what you want it to be. And then the identity piece, I feel like the wants, and I could be wrong, but my insight on this is that the wants have to do more with our ego's identity, because like if I think of the wants that I have, and possibly even the ones that other people have, they are very, very, very tied to the lower sense of consciousness that people
Fact.
have. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. And so to be happy and to have that sense of true satisfaction and contentment, it's almost like separating yourself from that egotistical whatever, and claiming, I'm claiming my own destiny, and I'm content with that in my own identity. I don't know.
I'm claiming my true identity, which is not my ego. Yes,
Yeah.
you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That to me makes more sense, because like I think of particularly of my grandma. She has a lot of needs and a lot of wants, and definitely a lot of wants. And so there are things that I like. Obviously love my grandma more than anything in this world, and but there are things that I'm kind of like, God, why are you doing this? Because it's only stimulating the want. She'll watch things like QVC or HSN or things like that, and they have all these gadgets and items and all kinds of things for sale, and they're nice, I'm sure, but it's watching that stuff even just for a few minutes, it automatically makes you want things that you don't have, or perhaps don't have money for. And then it cycles, and then you start thinking, well, I don't have money for this, and it's such a drag. It's such a drag to be in a state of want.
It is a drag, but this is your homework assignment, because your grandma is perfect exactly what she wants. She's
Next.
she's perfect, wanting her
Yes.
QVC, HSN, uh, dog flea collars and everything. Because my mother was addicted to the HC, QVC and HSN. Addicted. I mean, there were trucks coming
Yes.
to that all the time, and so
Yeah.
went through the same thing. I even cut up her credit cards.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
that's
She
how
asked me to
that
apply for a credit card today. She said, "Will you apply for a QVC credit card? Because if you do, you'll get $50 off, and then I can get this pan that I wanna get that's $199, but I'll be able to get it for 140 or whatever, something ridiculous." She wanted me to open the credit card so she could buy stuff.
it's an addiction. But let me say something. This is your assignment. You ready?
Yes.
Accept her.
Yeah.
Don't try to change her. What she's doing is perfect. I wouldn't open up a credit card,
No.
but but she can feel your acceptance, and she can also feel judgment. And she and we're all doing the best we can, and this makes her happy.
Yeah. Yeah. At
Let her
least,
go.
yeah. It's funny because in that moment, there was a couple other moments today too, because I spent quite a bit of time at her house today, and I kept telling myself, "I accept you," and I kept saying that to myself about her. "I accept you for where you are and who you are in this moment unconditionally," and I kept saying that in my head over and over and over again, and it was amazing to feel such peace within my own self. And I think that goes back full circle to what you had said earlier about the ego and that feeling of separation when we are affected by somebody's energy and their feelings and things like that. But I guess I just didn't realize it at the time. I was applying your teachings and I didn't realize that saying that to myself about her, "I accept you in all shapes and all forms, and under no specified condition, I still accept you no matter what and where you are in this life and your state of mind. I accept that." And it was amazing how that curbed the ego so much, and her energy or whatever it was she was going through that day, it didn't affect me near as much. I guess I just didn't realize it.
The ego needs me to respond. The ego needs my voice. It is nothing without my voice.
Yeah.
The other thing I would want to, I will say, you do whatever you want to do, but
Sure.
usually, let me find, hold on a second. I want to look for, oh, I think it's I have a neighbor who is, I mean, talk about yesterday all the time, just very, into the past. And I only give them 5 minutes, 10 minutes. That's what I found works for me,
Mhm.
is just shortening the amount of time.
Yeah.
Shortening the amount of time. That's it. And so I want to read this real quick. It's just from Moji. If you haven't looked at Moji's videos on YouTube, Mooji, he's phenomenal. It's just a quick little statement. It says, "It's true that what you believe is what you believe, but it is not necessarily true that what you believe is the truth."
Yeah. Very true. That is true. And I think that that's one thing that people, when, we talked about politics a little bit last week, or it could be sports, it could be anything, but people so often confuse their beliefs with facts
With the truth, yes,
and
with the
truth.
truth,
Yes.
with the
And
truth.
so, and because of that, I guess they identify with those beliefs, just like we all do. We all, to some degree, we all identify with the beliefs that we have. And that's where I think, at least for a lot of people, it would be
Oh, we're
so.
not going to talk about a lot of people. Let's talk about you. Let's talk about
Sure.
me. A lot of people, a lot of people. But one of the things I want to say before I forget is standing ovation to you. 6 months ago, a year ago, would you be able to sit at your grandmother's house and say all that over and over again?
No, never.
You see, but you understand growth is gradual. Growth, sometimes you don't even know that it's happening. So I'm going to get, hold on a second.
I would have tried to change the situation.
Standing ovation.
No, that standing ovation is well deserved for you, for
Yes,
writing this book and
standing
for teaching these things.
Standing ovation to you. Yeah, it's really big, and that's the peace and the contentment. Sometimes it's barely, it's you can barely feel it, but it's there. And the more you practice what you're just doing, the more you're going to get.
Yeah,
The more peace, contentment you will receive.
yeah. That's 100% true. Well, this was 100% amazing. I have to go pick up my dog now from my
Yeah,
mom's
go
house,
pick up your dog.
but this was unbelievable. It was everything that you said it would be and more, and I cannot wait to post this to the Facebook group, Generational Copy. So thank you again. Everybody grab your book, Program for Unhappiness. It is a wonderful book. Contact Rebecca on her website. And Rebecca, could you remind us what your website is? Is it RebeccaNorrington.com?
It is RebeccaNorrington.com, and Instagram is Reality Spirituality. On LinkedIn, you could just Google Rebecca Norrington. And I do a show every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. It's called Reality Spirituality Radio. And every Saturday, I do a live show with my son, Mother and Son Making Sense Out of Nonsense, plus more. And then every Saturday night till next week is the last week. So I appreciate it. Find me, you'll find me.
Yeah, definitely. And universities, what are you doing? Hire this woman to teach a course at your university.
Let me tell you something. That Harvard, because they do have a happiness class at
Yeah,
Harvard, I believe.
yeah.
I'm telling you right now, let's go. I'm going to kick everybody out of there, and let's tell them some real
Some real stuff.
yeah,
Yeah,
real
not
stuff.
this yeah, not this textbook curriculum, whatever.
No, not the programming. Yeah. Yeah.
Programming. Facts. Well, Rebecca, thank you again so much. We'll see each other again. We're going to do this again next Saturday. It's our last Saturday this month. So it's just going to be jam-packed with amazing information, and I can't wait to see everybody there. Thank you again, Rebecca.
Thank you. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.